Some movies are too unsettling, too disturbing, too raw for the algorithm to handle. They get ignored or even hidden because they make us uncomfortable, challenge our beliefs, and refuse to fit into neat boxes. Today, we're exploring 7 films the algorithm hates, movies that push the boundaries of storytelling, morality, and human experience. Let's start at the beginning. Except there is no beginning. Not really. Layer 1 takes us to Begotten from 1990, a film that asks a question so disturbing most people can't even articulate it after watching. If God is dead, how does the story of existence even begin? Director Elias Merhiga created something that shouldn't exist. 72 minutes of grainy, nightmarish black and white imagery. No dialogue, no explanation, no mercy. The film opens with a god disemboweling himself in a grimy room. From his corpse, Mother Earth emerges. She impregnates herself with his remains and gives birth to the Son of Earth, a convulsing, suffering thing that wanders through a landscape of pure horror. This is kind of a movie that watches you. Every frame looks like it was recovered from a mass grave. The images bypass your rational mind and inject themselves directly into your unconscious. Viewers report feeling physically ill. Some can't sleep for days. The algorithm hates Begotten because it offers nothing consumable. No plot to follow, no characters to root for. Just pure, unfiltered cosmic nihilism that suggests creation itself was a mistake. But here's what Begotten understands that most films don't. Some truths can't be spoken. They can only be felt as trauma. And once you've seen this film, something inside you changes permanently. You can't unsee what creation might actually look like, stripped of all religious comfort and narrative meaning. Now we climb to Layer 2, to a small Danish village in 1955. Ordet, directed by Carl Theodor Dreyer, asks a quieter but equally devastating question. Is faith a miracle, or is it madness? A family torn apart by different interpretations of Christianity. A young woman dies in childbirth. Her brother-in-law, Johannes, believes he is Jesus Christ. Everyone dismisses him as insane. The film moves with agonizing patience. Long takes, minimal camera movement, faces captured in excruciating detail as they process grief, doubt, and the impossible gulf between what they believe and what they can prove. For 2 hours, Ordet tests you. Can you sit with silence? Can you endure the slow, methodical examination of faith without action, without spectacle, without the comfort of easy answers? The algorithm despises this patience. It wants cuts every 3 seconds. Ordet offers cuts every 3 minutes. Then comes the finale. In the final 10 minutes, Ordet does something that will either confirm your deepest beliefs or shatter them completely. Johannes the madman approaches his sister-in-law's coffin. And what happens next, I won't spoil. But it's the most devastating ending in cinema history. Not because of what occurs, but because of what it forces you to confront about the relationship between faith, reality, and the desperate human need for meaning in a universe that offers none. Layer 3 descends into something most viewers aren't prepared for. Bad Boy Bubby from 1993 asks a question society doesn't want answered. Does society produce morality, or does it destroy it? Bubby has been locked in a single room by his mother for 35 years. She's told him the air outside is poisonous. She's sexually abused him his entire life. He knows nothing else. Then one day, he escapes, and we follow him as he encounters the world for the first time as an adult with the mind and moral framework of an abused child. Director Rolf de Heer does something technically brilliant and ethically disturbing. The first 30 minutes are shot from Bubby's limited perspective. The camera is often placed inside confined spaces. The sound design makes you feel his claustrophobia. Then, when Bubby escapes, the perspective expands. The world opens up. But Bubby doesn't understand any of it. He repeats phrases he's heard. He mimics behavior without understanding context. He does terrible things, not because he's evil, but because he has no framework for good and evil. The film forces you to watch society's response to him. Some people exploit him, some try to help him, Some worship him when he accidentally becomes a rock star. And you're left with a question that has no comfortable answer. Is morality innate, or is it entirely constructed by the society that shapes us? The algorithm buries Bad Boy Bubby because it's deeply uncomfortable. It contains scenes most platforms won't even allow. But it's unforgettable because it exposes the fragile, arbitrary nature of the moral systems we take for granted. We've reached the halfway point. Layer 4, Tehran, 1997. A middle-aged man drives through the hills surrounding the city. He's looking for someone to help him with a task. Taste of Cherry, directed by Abbas Kiarostami, is a film about suicide that never feels like a film about suicide. Nothing happens. The man, Mr. Body, drives. He picks up passengers. He offers them money to perform a simple task: bury him after he kills himself, or save him if he changes his mind. That's it. That's the entire film. Conversations in a car, long shots of winding roads, dust and light and faces trying to understand an impossible request. The algorithm hates Taste of Cherry because it violates every rule of engagement. No action, no resolution, no clear moral stance. Kiarostami refuses to tell you whether Mr. Body should live or die. He refuses to sentimentalize depression or dramatize despair. Instead, he presents the question as an open wound and asks you to sit with it. But here's the profound thing. Through these simple conversations, through the rhythm of the car moving through landscape, through the patience of just existing with this man's pain, everything happens. You feel the weight of existence, the small moments that make life bearable, the reasons we continue despite everything. Taste of Cherry doesn't preach. It doesn't manipulate. It simply exists alongside suffering and lets you draw your own conclusions. Layer 5 might be the most morally inescapable work on this list. The Decalogue, Krzysztof Kieślowski's 1989 masterpiece. 10 one-hour films, each exploring one of the 10 commandments in modern atheistic Poland. The question is devastating in its simplicity. Are commandments still valid when there is no God to enforce them? Each film is a moral trap. A father lets his son go ice skating based on computer calculations that prove the ice is safe. The ice breaks. The child drowns. Thou shalt not kill. But who killed the child? The father? The computer? God? Chance? In another episode, a woman discovers her husband is dying. She's pregnant by another man. If her husband lives, she'll abort the child. If he dies, she'll keep it. She asks the doctor for the truth. Thou shalt not bear false witness. But what is the merciful answer? Kieślowski understood something fundamental about morality. Rules are easy. Living by them in the chaos of actual human experience is impossible. The Decalogue is difficult to watch not because of graphic content, but because of moral content. Every episode puts you in an impossible situation and asks what you would do. And the honest answer is, usually, I don't know. The algorithm can't process this ambiguity. It wants clear heroes and villains. The Decalogue offers only humans, struggling in the ruins of absolute moral certainty. Layer 6 is pure poison for algorithmic thinking. Last year at Marienbad from 1961, directed by Alain Resnais, asks a question that makes narrative itself impossible. Is memory a lie, or is love? A man approaches a woman at a Baroque hotel. He insists they met last year at Marienbad. He insists they fell in love. He insists she promised to leave with him. She insists none of this happened. The entire film is this argument, repeated, reimagined, contradicted, reinforced, dissolved. The same scenes play out with different dialogue. Characters stand in impossible positions. Time becomes meaningless. The film is deliberately frustrating. It refuses to tell you what's true. Was there a meeting? Is the man delusional? Is the woman lying? Is this all metaphor? Resnais and screenwriter Alain Robbe-Grillet created a film that exists in the space between memory and imagination, where they're functionally identical. The algorithm despises last year at Marienbad because it can't be summarized. It can't be reduced to plot points. It can only be experienced as a state of beautiful confusion. But it's a cornerstone of cinema because it proved film could explore consciousness itself, not just stories about conscious beings. We've arrived at the seventh layer, the deepest point. Two men in a room, one table, two chairs. The Sunset Limited from 2011. Adapted and directed by Tommy Lee Jones from Cormac McCarthy's play. The question is simple and unanswerable. Without God, is there any reason to continue living? Black, a ex-convict who found God in prison, has just saved White, a nihilistic professor, from throwing himself in front of a train. For 90 minutes, they debate. Black argues for faith, for meaning, for the possibility of grace. White argues that existence is suffering, that consciousness is a curse, that the most rational response to life is to end it. There is no action, no plot twists, no background music, just two extraordinary actors, Samuel L. Jackson and Tommy Lee Jones, engaged in an intellectual and spiritual battle for the highest stakes imaginable, a human soul. The genius of The Sunset Limited is that neither man wins. Black's faith is genuine, but can't answer White's philosophical precision. White's logic is airtight, but can't account for the irrational human impulse to continue, to hope, to believe in meaning we can't prove. The film ends without resolution because this question has no resolution. It's the question every conscious being must answer for themselves. These films weren't made to please, entertain, or follow trends. They were made to provoke thought, to challenge your comfort, and to leave a lasting impression. If you survived all 7, congratulations, you've ventured where few dare to go. And remember, sometimes the movies the algorithm dislikes the most are the ones that teach us the most. Thank you for watching.